Hi everyone, this is Mona. Welcome to the Vendor University Sears Sales Reporting webinar. In October we offered some transitional training, but this month we're moving more to a standard format for our ongoing and recurring sales reporting training for Alex.
How do I get out of this?
Itself should take less than 60 minutes, but we did add on more time to allow for questions that you may have. So we do hope to be able to provide answers to your questions and help you utilize the new application. I will be recording today's webinar, and we did design it so that we're not sharing confidential information, and we'll be able to post that on YouTube, and then I can send the link out to you after the training today. I'll also be sure to send out the PowerPoint to those who are attending.
Get into this.
So if you can, go ahead and test out the chat feature. For me, and you can see the presentation. Please type the following information. Please let me know your location, your city and state, what businesses you support, and your current level of experience with the new Sears Sales Alex reporting application. None if you haven't had any experience with it yet. Beginner if you've logged into the application a few times and maybe run a few reports. Or intermediate if you use the new application on an ongoing basis. Since it's brand new, my assumption is that no one should really be at an advanced level yet. So again, none, beginner, or intermediate. And when you send text through the chat, be sure to send it to everybody, because if you just send it to the host, I may not be able to see that because I am presenting, and it doesn't always pop up. So as an example, you could say Antioch, Illinois, Sears Toys, action figures, and beginner. So again, your location, your business, and your current level of experience with the new application. And we're going to come back to these responses in a couple of slides. In the meantime, I'd like to go over some webinar etiquette. If you could please be sure to put your phone on mute when you're not speaking. It does cause a lot of background noise, either other people around you who are talking or moving around, or sometimes there's a lot of static. It can make it really difficult to hear. So if you're listening to audio directly from your computer instead of calling in, be sure to mute your computer's microphone. You can access your computer's microphone options by going to Control Panel, Sound, Recording tab. So again, you can access your computer's microphone options by going to Control Panel, Sound, Recording tab. We would like to leave the mics open during the presentation, but if we start to get too much background noise and it gets too difficult to hear or too distracting, I will have to mute everybody, and I would prefer not to do that. So please try to keep everything on mute when you're not actually speaking and then asking a question. So please wait to audibly ask questions until designated times. Stephanie will ask at different points, and we do have a whole half hour set aside at the end for questions. Be sure to keep them on topic and minimal during the actual presentation itself. But feel free to submit questions at any time via chat. I will be monitoring that alongside Stephanie. We'll try to address any questions that you have. If we're not able to answer those questions, or if we miss it in the chat, please feel free to email us. We will provide some email addresses later on in the presentation. And you can always email Vendor University, and we will forward that to the appropriate party as well. That'd be vendoruniversity@searshc.com, because we do want to make sure that we get you the help that you need. And sometimes we need screenshots, because sometimes there's just more information. We need to see what you're seeing. We need more details. So sometimes we'll need you to just email us instead of asking, so that we can see what you're seeing through the screenshots. Okay, so I asked you to test out the chat feature. I asked for your location, your businesses that you support, and your current level of expertise. So it looks like we have someone from Portland. They do Sears work boots, and they are brand new to the application. And they also don't have any experience yet. Seymour Court, there we go. It was Sears Auto Center, beginner. Footwear from New Hampshire. They're brand new. Dallas, Texas, jewelry. Kitchen Electrics, new user.
Is that?
And the Sears footwear, also brand new. So it seems like most of you haven't really been in the application yet. I do hope that you were able to review the video as well as the documentation. I sent the link out with the calendar invite. I think that would be helpful, and hopefully being able to review the video at a later point, I'm hoping that will be helpful as well. Sometimes with these new applications, you really just got to get in and start playing around with it and practicing with it to really get a good handle on it. So at this point, I'm going to pass it off to Stephanie Nostwick, and she's going to take it from here.
All right.
Who's that for Olga?
So I'm Stephanie Nostwick. I am a BU trainer.
Okay, yes.
And can you please mute your mics? I'm a BU trainer. Formerly, I was an inventory and then a senior inventory analyst for 3 years, supporting Kmart businesses. I supported Kids World Seasonal Basics, which was underwear, fleece, dancewear, socks, and then I also supported again, we're going to
go ahead and just mute everybody, so just give me 1 second to take care of that. Sorry, just give me 1 second to mute everyone. There we go.
All participants are now in listen-only mode.
So we will be sure to unmute everybody at the end of the presentation so we can do questions. In the meantime, use the chat feature for questions. Since we had to do that, I do apologize, but we will open it back up again at the end of the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mona. So basically what I was getting at is during my time as an inventory analyst and a senior inventory analyst, I used Alex reporting to illustrate sales performance of my businesses, manage the inventory levels, and help out with some special store projects. So today we will learn how to differentiate the 5 report template options, access, navigate, and update homepage preferences, complete the report prompts, save and subscribe to reports, edit report results, export those results to Excel, and use the help resources. So what is Sears Sales Alex Reports? Sears Sales Reports provide access to sales and inventory reports via the vendor portal. This information was previously accessed through the Sears Business Exchange, or SBE. As you know, we're going to be closing SBE, and last month we transitioned all the SBE applications to that vendor portal. Reporting platform for the new Sears Sales Reporting application is quite different than the reporting offered through SBE, but it still does provides many more options and features. Be aware that your buying or inventory teams at SHC will probably refer to this new application as Alex. Some of these report features, the new reporting platform does offer a bunch more options and flexibility. You can now view merchandise and location on the same report, as well as units, cost dollars, and sales dollars. In addition, you can view information from multiple DUNS numbers and divisions on the same report. Completely new, you can select attributes to report against, such as brand, season, or color. You can also review full-line store sales and online store sales either separately or on the same report. You can save, subscribe to, and schedule reports and choose to view them either online, or you can export those directly to Excel. Reports are available in your history for up to 2 weeks, and you can edit report results and create graphical representations. Finally, the reports run much more quickly than they did in SBE Sales Reports. So access to sales reports is not required, but it is useful in managing your business with Sears. It requires a license fee of $550 per person, plus an annual maintenance fee of $100. The nice thing about that, though, is that if your company acquired access to SBE sales reports before the transition to Sears sales reports, your company and users are covered in the original contract between our companies. If you would like to request or verify access, please do send an email to vendors@searshc.com to request access to Sears Sales Reports. Another really nice thing is that those licenses are transferable, so we're not always going to be in the same desk. Someone new might take over, and that license would be able to be transferred to that person. So let's talk a little bit about the data availability. There are 2 sales report templates, gross sales summary and net sales by type, and 3 inventory report templates, sales in stock, sales insight and turnover, and sales and inventory. For the sales reports, data up to 2 years back plus year to date is accessible and can be requested 1 day prior to today's date. Keep in mind the calendar year is based on the Sears 445 calendar, which always begins on a Sunday. For the inventory reports, only data for the previous week can be displayed, and it can be requested 2 days prior to today's date. So once we get in, you'll see that there are some report templates. The same 5 report templates are available in Sears Sales Alex Reports as were available in SDE Sales Reports. And those were the gross sales summary, the net sales by type, sales in stock, sales and inventory, and sales insight and turnover. The reporting platforms are different, but we thought it would be helpful to make the same templates available to ease the transition to the new application. The Sears Vendor Gross Sales Summary Report displays gross sales information by time for gross sales data. The report enables views of gross and net sales, returns, and post-sales adjustments. And on this slide, you can see all the gross sales information broken down that you could see in this report. And here's the report not broken out into 2 chunks, but as a whole, and this is what you guys will be able to view when you run this report. Oh, and Mona just kindly reminded me that this is also something that you would see exported to Excel. Net sales by type report. The Sears Vendor Net Sales by Type report displays product information by time for net sales data. The report enables a view of the breakdown of net sales by regular, promotional, and clearance sales. And at the top of this slide, you can see all the different net sales by type information that you would receive when running this report. And then here's this report. If you were to export it into Excel, this is probably what it would look like. And you can notice that there's a little bit of a difference between this report that looked like Excel, or that was exported to Excel, and the last one. And that's because the previous Excel report was exported with formatting, and this example was exported as plain text. My preference as an analyst was plain text because it made it a little bit easier to manipulate that data. The sales and stock report displays information by week for sales and markdowns, inventory, receipts, on order, and inventory productivity. The report provides a view of receipts, inventory, sales to stock ratio, checkout, and turnover. You can see these are the metrics that you would be able to pull in the sales and stock report. Here's how it might look in the web page. And here's what it would look like exported to Excel with formatting. The sales and inventory report displays sales and inventory information for the last closed fiscal week. The report enables a view of the breakdown by regular, event, and clearance sales, plus inventory on hand and on order for stores, distribution centers, and total chain. So here's the metrics that you would see if you pulled a sales and inventory report, how the report looks in the web page, and how the report would look with formatting in Excel. The Sales Insight and Turnover report displays information by week for sales insight and turnover metrics. These include gross sales, distribution center disbursements, turnover, inventory on hand, and on order. And here's the sales insight and turnover report in Excel with formatting. So now that we've had a little bit of an overview of what to expect when we're pulling these reports, we're going to enter into the demo. So this demo is going to cover access, navigation, and homepage preferences. All right, so now that I've been able to switch over to the vendor portal, I'm going to go ahead and log in. And do follow along if you can. And when I navigate back to the home page, you can see that all SBE applications are now located on the vendor portal. If you scroll down the page, you will see the group labeled Sears Applications. All applications previously accessed through Sears Business Exchange will be located here, including Sears Sales Reports. So there's my Sears applications, and there's the Sales Reports. All right, so what you will see on your screen is a bit different than what you're currently seeing with my login. I have access to a few more options, so you won't see as many options available. You may have to click through several folders to access the reporting templates. So we're going, you might see, click on Alex 3.0, then we're going to click on Shared Reports, BI Analytics, and then Vendor Reporting, which is all the way down on my list here, and then Sears Vendor Reporting. So everybody should be at a screen that looks somewhat like this. If your screen doesn't look like this, it might be because a different setting has been selected. So I'm down in the lower left-hand corner here. So if I were to click on this box, it might change the display a little bit. So that's what it would look like formatted as a list, and this is what it looks like formatted in that grid. So I'll keep it formatted in that grid for now. But here we can see those 5 report templates available, and to avoid clicking through all those folders to get to those templates, you can update your home page under Preferences. Just be sure to first navigate to this page. So we're going to go ahead and make this our preference. So go ahead and click on Preferences in the left menu bar. So this option right here with the little wrench. So next to this default Start page, you would want to select the radio button next to the last folder, Sears Vendor Reporting. So right there. Then you can go ahead and scroll all the way down to the bottom of this page, and in the lower left you'll see a button that says Apply, and you can click Apply. So now, when you re-enter the Sears Sales Reports application and click Alex 3.0, you'll go straight to the Sales Reports Templates page. Or you could click the Home button on the page at any time to go straight there. I'm going to go ahead and click on that little Home button and see it brought me right back to that page. All right, so I'm switching back to the PowerPoint for a moment so you can see that's the screen that you should be seeing, the report template prompts. So click on the desired report to view the template options. And there will be 13 sections available to edit on templates. Sections 3, 5, 6, and 12 must be populated to run the report. The other sections are optional, and you'll use the menu bar on the left to access each section. You can see it's highlighted here. To run a report, at a minimum, you must complete those sections 3, 5, 6, and 12, and then click Run Report. In Section 3, that's a time filter. In Section 5, that's a product merchandise filter. In Section 6, that's the product merchandise view. You can edit that if you would like to, but Sears Merchant is selected by default. In Section 12, you can update the view by summary metrics if you would like to. There are default fields already selected for some of the reports, but those can be changed, and then you would go ahead and click Run Report. One thing you'll notice with the criteria section details is that they typically work in pairs. For example, in Section 1, you select which DUNS number information to include on the report, and in Section 2, you select whether or not to include the DUNS information on the report. So basically, Section 1, you're saying if maybe you've got multiple DUNS, you select 2 or 3 of them. And then in that next section, you're going to decide, do I want to see each DUNS individually, or do I want to see totals for all 3 that I had selected? If you only select one DUNS number in Section 1, then it's really not necessary to include that information on the report. But again, if you do have multiple DUNS numbers, you would have no way of knowing what information falls under which DUNS unless you did make a selection in Option 2. In Section 3, you select what time data to restrict the report to, and then in Section 4, you select whether to view the time information on the report results. So, and we'll get into that more in a little bit, and that'll make a little bit more sense in a little while. In Section 5, you select the product merchandise filter, and in Section 6, you specify whether you see the merchandise filter represented as rows of data on your report. Section 7 does not work in tandem with another section. This one doesn't play well with others. Use Section 7 to type in or upload a group of div item SKUs using a CSV file. If you do not know how to create a CSV file, view the Sears Sales Reporting documentation for instructions. In Section 8, specify the selling locations to report against, and in Section 9, select whether to view the locations represented as rows of data on your report. Use Section 10 to specify product characteristics to report against, and in Section 11, specify whether to see those product characteristics as represented as rows of data on your report. So these are brand new the product characteristics. So the Sears BR brand versus the Sears Master brand. The Sears Master brand combines single brands into one selection. So here's some examples to make that a little bit more clear. Kenmore combines Kenmore Pro, Kenmore Elite, and Kenmore Product into one Kenmore Master brand. Craftsman combines Craftsman Professional and Craftsman Product into one Craftsman Master brand. And Die Hard would combine Die Hard and Die Hard Gold into one Die Hard Master brand. The Sears SE Season Code versus Sears Master Season. Sears SE Season Code consists of a single season, like Spring 2017, while Master Season would combine products from more than one season code. For instance, combines all spring and summer coded seasonal product into one Spring-Summer Master Season. So you can see Spring-Summer together instead of having to pull them separately. You could combine all Fall-Winter coded product into one Fall-Winter Master Season. Or you could combine all basic continuous coded product into one basic master season. On the color product characteristics, the Sears Color Basic versus Sears Color Descriptive. Sears Color Basic is the color family, such as green. The Sears Color Descriptive is the shade associated with the basic color. And below are some examples of green. You could have mallard green, manor green, maple leaf, all those wonderful green colors. So let's go back to, finally, you would select the metrics that you would want to include on your report in Section 12. Generally, most of the reports are set up to reflect the fields that were returned for the same templates from SDE Sales Reports. Many of the templates have additional metrics that can be included. So now we're going to do the Sears Sales Reporting demo. This demo will cover completing the report prompts, running reports, saving and subscribing to reports, and editing report results, and then exporting those results back to Excel. So now I'm going to switch back into my report screen here. And to get started, we're going to click on the Gross Sales Summary Report. First one right up here at the top. Now we've got these template options available. On the left, you can see those 13 sections for the template prompts. The required sections are clearly marked. You've got these little, hey, this is required. We can see sections 3, 5, 6, and 12 are required. Okay, so let's get started with Section 1. In Section 1, select and move over the DUNS numbers you'd like to run the report for. I know on my screen we'll see a ton of DUNS numbers, and that's because I'm an internal user. You should only see the DUNS numbers that your ID has access to. That could be only one DUNS, it could be 10 DUNS, it could be more. If you do not see a DUNS number available that you should have access to, please reach out to vendors at searshc.com so we can get you the right access. So I'm going to grab a whole bunch of DUNS. So that way, when I pull something back, we won't be able to see any kind of cost information because there's just going to be way too many altogether. So let's move on to Section 2. So you could arrow over the Sears vendor reporting DUNS number if you want to distinguish between each of those DUNSes for each item to be shown on your report. If you are running this report for only one DUNS, again, you probably won't have a need for this. If you selected more than one DUNS in Section 1, then this option would need to be selected to see the DUNS on the report. I'm not going to include this on the report, so we can keep the information on the report anonymous. So I'm not going to bring anything over here. Moving on to Section 3, this is the time filter. This prompt displays the time variables available to select or enter time. Selecting a time variable restricts the report to only include data based on that time that you've selected. Options available for selection will differ between the sales reports and the inventory reports. For inventory reports, select and list last closed week will be defaulted, but you can always change this to some other criteria. And in this example, I'm going to select the last closed 13 weeks. So I'm going to click Custom Time Weekly and drill down. Then I'm going to scroll down until I find that my last closed 13 weeks and bring it over using the arrow. So now I'm going to move on to Section 4. To view the time information on the report results, you must select the time metrics and arrow the metrics to the selection box in Section 4. There will be no time information on the report if criteria are not selected to view. And nothing here is selected by default. The options available for the selection will differ between sales reports and inventory reports. If we wanted a single row summary, so let's say I want to see those 13 weeks represented as one row of data, I'm going to get all the sales would be total for the 13 weeks, then I could leave that blank. But if I wanted to see week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, and so on, I could arrow over week. So what that means is that I'll see a row of data for each week within the last closed 13 weeks that I selected in Section 3. If you'd like to view a breakdown by day, you may want to select a smaller time frame in Section 3 so that it doesn't blow your report up and you're actually looking at some meaningful data. I'm going to go ahead and select week and bring it over. So now let's move on to Section 5. You can choose to view performance results for total Sears, or you can drill all the way down to the lowest level and view performance results at the Sears SKU level. Nothing is selected here by default. Please do be aware that the selection can sometimes take a while to load, especially the first time. So we can select Sears product merchandise by clicking on that plus sign and drill down. I'm going to select and arrow over this 20,000 Sears merchant, and that's going to allow me to see all the product that I would have available. So there you go. You see I've arrowed that list over. Maybe I don't want to see everything like that. Maybe I want to be a little bit more specific about the merchandise that is going to be returned on my report, so I could drill in further to this. So if I go ahead and I click that plus sign next to the Sears division, I can drill down even further. So I think I'm going to select several division filters and arrow them over to the right. You don't have to select as many as I am, but by selecting a lot of these, I can help ensure anonymity of the search results. All right, so that'll be an interest screen report. And another little call out, you'll only see those merchandise options at the hierarchy level. I know you see a couple more here, but that's because I selected quite a few more vendors in Section 1. Then go ahead and click on Section 6. In Section 6, we're going to specify the merchandise you want to see represented as rows of data, and you can select multiple selections. The merchandise view selections work hand in hand with your merchandise filter selections to enable you to easily review performance results at any level of your merchandise hierarchy. Sears Merchant is selected by default and represents the highest level of the Sears merchandise hierarchy, and that's what we're going to use with this report. You can always select View by Business or Division all the way down to Item or SKU. If you chose multiple divisions in Section 5, you may want to select that here in Section 6 so you can see which division items belong on your report. So once you've decided what you'd like for Section 6, we're going to move on to Section 7. Section 7 enables you to type in or upload a group of div items SKUs. For information on creating that CSV file, again, that is available on the vendor portal. For this report, I'm not going to load any div items, but I will show you what happens when you arrow them over. So I'm going to select the Sears item import and bring it over. So you can see here we've got div item. It's kind of hyperlinked. So if I click on div item, I could change to div item SKU. And when I click value, this is how I would be able to import that file, or I could type the data in manually if I wanted to. But I'm not going to bring anything over, so I'm going to get rid of that by using the back arrow. In Section 8, this is your geography filter. So here's where you're going to specify the selling locations you want to report against. Leaving this blank will allow you to view performance results for total Sears, or you can drill down all the way to the lowest level and view performance results at the selling location. And nothing here is selected by default. So I'm going to click the format sign next to store format type, which is the first one right here. And then I'm going to bring over full line stores by selecting full line stores and using that arrow. Then I'm also going to bring over the Sears online stores. If I can find them. They're there. Something that's pretty neat is you can also even look at sales for specific stores. Options available for selection will differ between sales reports and inventory reports. So if I knew a specific store number or I wanted to look for a specific store number, I could go and bring location number over. After drilling down into it. So I could look for it in this list. If I wanted to, I could select the location number, bring it over, change qualified to select, and then load these in a list. I'm not sure, Steubenville, that looks like store 1152. There's your location number. And you could load a list of stores as well. But I'm not going to pull this location number, so I'm going to bring it back. I'm just interested in checking out the full line stores and the Sears online stores. Then click on Section 9. Section 9, you would specify the locations you want to see represented as rows of data. So there are multiple selections here are permitted, and nothing is selected by default. That geography view selections work hand in hand with your geography filter selections to enable you to easily review performance results at the desired level. So what you selected in Section 8 will determine what is returned in your report results, but if you want to be able to differentiate the results for the different formats or stores, you have to include a selection in Section 9. So I'm going to select Store Format Type and bring it over. Now click on Section 10. In Section 10, specify the product characteristic attribute you want to report against, such as brand, color, or season. And nothing here is selected by default. So I'm going to select the basic master season for this report. I'm going to select Sears Master Season, and then I'm going to bring over basic. Now move on to Section 11. In Section 11, here's where you would specify the product characteristics you want to see as represented as rows of data. So in Section 10, we selected Basic Master Season, which includes season codes Basic Replenished and Basic Non-Replenished. So in Section 11, we're going to select Sears SE Season Code for this report, and this will let us see which of the items on the report are Basic Replenished and which are Basic Non-Replenished. And that's that Sears SE Season Code is the last option there, and I'll bring that over. So now click on Section 12. Section 12 specifies the sales-related metrics that you want to include on your report. Section 12 is defaulted for all templates except the sales and stock report. However, you are able to change the criteria selections. So maybe in addition to my gross sales, customer returns, post-sales, and total sales, I might want to also include Sears gross sales units. So I can bring that guy right over, and it will be included with these. Maybe I don't want to see customer returns last year, and bring that back. Now click on Section 13. Here's where you'll specify the metric criteria that you want to see represented as rows of data on your report. So you would use this step to filter the volume or content of the data that will be displayed on your report. Like Section 12, all templates have different criteria to select. And I'm going to leave this section as is for now. Once you've completed all the data, you will be able to click Run Report in the lower left-hand button right down here under the report message name. In SCE Sales Reports, it could take hours for a report to run. You'll notice that it's much faster in the new Sears Sales Alex reporting application. So this is typically the message you will get while your report processes. You can hang out here, or you could click Go to My History list. And you'll see the status of that report is currently running. So I'm going to go ahead and click on a report that I've already run. It is still the Sears Vendor Gross Sales Summary Report, so it's the same type of report so that you can see what it will look like. So here's what your report looks like, or something similar to this. So I'm going to, you might see some report objects here. I've closed those out. You can also close those out if you would like to. So now we can see those report results. We can see results for both full line and online broken into basic replenished and basic non-replenished. So you can see here we've got some full line here, and we've got some continuous non-planograms. If I keep scrolling down, you'll be able to see there we go. We've got some different options here. So we've got those continuous non-planogrammed and those continuous planogrammed. And we can also see the date for these report results. Oh, right there. Let's go check out the report we just ran. So you'll notice that I went too far by clicking on Home, so I'm just going to go on the lower left and click on this history list, the option that excuse me, looks like a clock. And you can see the one that we did just run is now ready. So I'm going to click into that to see what that looks like. All right, there you go. So now you can see here's what I was looking for. That other report, I don't think the products that I had selected were actually online. So now we've got something to look at here. So here's your full line and your online stores. And here's the date. Here's the next week. So that's 8/13 and there's 8/20. So now that we've run this report, maybe we realized that we didn't do something right, we didn't complete the prompts exactly how we wanted to. You can reprompt a report, and to do so, we're going to click the down arrow next to Data and click Reprompt. So we've got Data here, and then you'll see a reprompt option. There's also an option right here. You can see, oh, it should pop up in a second, a little question mark. That should also reprompt your results. So you can get to it two different ways. So now you see we are back in our report selection screen. So let's go to section 10. And we're going to add additional product characteristic filters. This time we'll include fall, winter, and spring, summer master seasons. Master seasons. I grabbed fall, winter, and spring, summer and brought them both over, and you can see now they're populated over here with basic. So now I'm happy, okay, I've got everything I need, so I'm going to go ahead and run the report. So I'm going to let that report run. But let's pretend that it had run and we needed to now save this report. It can be saved in this application, and saving the report will let you easily rerun that same report at a later date. So you'll be able to go into your My Reports and click on your Save Report, and then it'll automatically run. You won't have to mess around with all the prompts that we just went through. So up in the upper left corner, you'll see that floppy disk icon. To save your report, click on that floppy disk. So here you've got the Save As box that pops up, and you can rename the report if you want to. It might be helpful if you've got a ton of them that you're running to distinguish between one another, and you could also edit the description if you would like to, and then just click OK to save. Then you're going to want to return to the original report. Sears Sales Reporting provides the ability to set up report subscriptions as well. Subscriptions can be set up to run daily or weekly. After running a report, you can click on the subscription icon on the report results page. The icon does look like a little sheet of paper with a clock at the bottom, and when you hover over the icon, it should show you scheduled delivery to history list. Oh, and you might be in data still. Click on home, and you see here we've got this little clock. And that, for some reason, it's not popping up on my screen, but on yours it should say Scheduled Delivery to History List. You can also click on this Home drop-down and select Subscribe to History List. So now we've got a Subscribe to History List box, and here you can select a desired subscription schedule from the drop-down menu. You could also, change the name of the subscription if you want, so that way you know which one it is. This is season codes. So to change the scheduling, just go ahead and click on this box, and you might not see all these options. Many of the options here, you should see the dates, like every day, maybe Friday. You'll notice that many of these all should have expiration dates, and that's so that unnecessary reports won't just keep running indefinitely. A really good rule of practice is to make sure that you maybe write it down on a sticky note and put it on your monitor, the date that your reports are set to expire, and to go in and extend that date, because it's a real bummer coming in on Monday and having nothing in your history list. So I'm going to select Friday, 6:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and it's going to expire on January 15th. So that means that every Friday at 6:30 a.m. Eastern Time, this report will run and show up in my history list. You can send notification to yourself to let you know when something is ready. So to do that, you can click on this little box that says Send Notification to Email Address, and I did this once before with Tammy, but you don't have to. And to send to a new address, you might not have this drop-down. Just click on that Send to New Address and enter in your email address there. But it is not necessary. You can just access your subscribed reports by going to your history list. And when you are done, I'm not going to send a notification to my email, so I'm going to uncheck that box. When you're done modifying your history list subscription, you can just go ahead and click OK. You've got this nice little note up here at the top of your report in green that says your subscription was created successfully. Sears Sales Reporting allows you to edit some of these report results in order to modify a report or the results to meet some specific needs. The position of a column can be changed on the results, or a column can be added or deleted from the results. So if I wanted to, maybe I want to see Sears gross sales dollars last year over here. I clicked on it, held it, and dragged it over. After editing the report results, you can save it as a new report, which will then permanently reflect the changes made. If I wanted to maybe delete something, I just right-clicked, and then I would select this X remove from grid. And you might find this useful if you're trying to get a report to follow the same format as the previous version in SDE Sales Reports. So that way you know, practice moving the columns around. Then you could save and schedule that report and have it run the way that you'd like to see it. Another really neat option is the graph icon. So if you'd like to show your report in a more graphic format, you can go ahead and click on the graph icon. There used to be a graph icon up here, so go to Data. And right here we've got this little bar graph. And that's not very pretty, but it's probably because I have all sorts of divisions added here. Yours might make a little bit more sense for your seasonality. But that's how you can create a graph pretty quickly. So then, if you're done looking at your graph, to return to the original results, you can click on the grid icon. Or you could just go, and it's right here. It looks kind of like a grid if you're able to see a microscopic grid there. But then you can get back into this data here. If you don't see the point in moving columns around here, maybe you'd rather format your reports in Excel, you can do that and you can export these to Excel. I'm going to click on this Home option here. And to export it to Excel, you can see this little piece of paper and it kind of looks like an Excel spreadsheet. Go ahead and click on that. So here's some different options to select from. So this is going to let you select how this is going to be exported. Again, I like that plain text format, but maybe if you like those, you like the colors and you like the way that these are formatted, you could pull that Excel with formatting. And then whenever you're happy here, just go ahead and go to the lower right and click Export. And you'll see I just got it to export, and it's going to open in Excel. And there you go. There's all that data. Now we're going to go back to the PowerPoint. One second, guys. Oh, there we go. So let's talk about help resources, because as you're getting in there and playing around with the reporting options, I'm sure you guys are going to have a ton of questions. I do encourage you to go in there and experiment with what you can pull out, what you can pull back, what makes sense to the way that you look at your business. Vendor-specific documentation and introductory video for the sales reporting application can be found on the Vendor University tab of the vendor portal, so please do go check those out. And help additional resources, there's that video right there. So on that page you can find the Sears Sales Alex reporting documentation as well as the video to assist with Get Started with Sears Sales Reports. You should have reviewed both of these before today's webinar. Help documentation is also available within the sales reporting application itself. So keep in mind this reporting platform is also used by internal associates, and some of the features mentioned in the documentation might not be open to vendors, such as ad hoc reporting. From within the application, you can click Help Documentation, Help Documentation in the top right corner of the screen, and the help file will open in a new window. Click Alex 3.0 in the left menu pane to open the content, and click Vendor Reporting Overview Sears. And that's how you get to all that helpful content there. And you can see these are your selections there. There are two options under Vendor Reporting Overview folder. One includes a job aid, and the other option includes links to the documentation and video available on the vendor portal. And I'm going to provide some contact information because maybe you're just not getting at the answer that you need after you've investigated using those resources we just talked about. For setup issues and report questions, you can contact vendor support, and that's vendors@searshc.com. For general training questions, contact vendoruniversity@searshc.com. For both, in the body of the email, please include the vendor pay DUNS number when that applies, a description of your issue, the report name, the criteria selections that you've made, and really screen prints, like Mona said earlier, they can really help us troubleshoot a lot faster, so screen prints would be great. So now I'm going to hand it over to Mona, and we'll take some of the questions.
Yep. Give me 1 second. I'm going to unmute everybody. You can still feel free to use the chat
All
feature to ask
participants
questions.
are now in interactive talk mode.
Retail and
So, I'm sorry, Bob Marsh, are you on the call? Is Bob Marsh on the call?
logged into the webinar, but the audio is open, so if he unmutes, he should be able to.
Reporting DUNS number to be using. I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with retail and SBT. What does that actually mean?
Margaret, are you there?
Hi, yes, I'm Margaret. I'm here.
Okay, she was trying to answer your question, but she's not familiar with retail and SBT.
Okay.
Do you have any additional, can you provide any additional information on that?
Yes. Like we have a pay DUNS number for our company. We also have a Sears retail DUNS number, a Sears.com DUNS number, and an SBT DUNS number.
Okay, so your pay DUNS number is one type of DUNS, and all those other DUNS that you described, we refer to those as order DUNS.
Okay.
So you should have access, I believe, to the order DUNS numbers with reporting. Is that right, Kim? Do they have access to their pay DUNS number, or is it just?
No, it's actually just the reporting DUNS number, but when you log in and go to any one of the prompts, the first prompt, you'll see the list of DUNS numbers. And if you just filter to the DUNS and view by item, you'll see which items are included in there. It's the same DUNS that was used in the old SBE application.
Okay. And another quick question kind of related to that as far as the DUNS. Now, do we have to load our own, like our, say, KSN numbers into the system in order to see the reporting back on those? Or are those in the system and will generate depending on where I select them from?
It's automatic behind the scenes in the system.
Okay.
So we know who you are and which company you work for and which items are assigned to you. So then if you want to filter that and say just show me some of the items or some of the stores or something, you can, but automatically we'll know all your items.
Okay, because we just want to go by item. We're not interested in by store. We want our items.
Right. So then just the merchandise, and she's showing you on screen. So in your filter, you could just select Sears Merchant. That would include all your items. And then in your merchandise view, just say view by item.
Okay. Okay, that's perfect.
Yeah, you can keep on drilling. I didn't want to get into any one vendor's items. But yes, if you keep drilling, you'll get down to that item level.
Okay, that's all we needed. Thank you, guys.
No problem. And Kathy is asking if there are standard templates already set up that they can use that were the same as Sears Business Exchange. So the 5 templates that are available on that templates page, they are the 5 templates that were available for Sears Business Exchange. It's just accessed a little bit differently. So from Sears Business Exchange, you had to select whether to view merchandise or location. You had to do different reports for each one. And then you also had to choose whether to see units or cost dollars or sell dollars. And so with the new Sears Sales Reports, you can basically see all that on the same report. You just have to make the correct selection for that. So you're just selecting it in a different location than where you selected it on the Sears Business Exchange. So like if you just want to view location, then I think you would go to Section 9, or you would do Section N9. If you want to pull back all your locations, then you would just go to Section 9, and then you could choose how you want to view those locations. And then if you wanted to do merchandise, if you want to see all your merchandise, you would, on this page, you would actually move over the 20,000 Sears merchant, and that's basically you're going to see all the merchandise that you do, all the merchandise that you have out there, versus being more specific by drilling down. So they are the same reports, they are the same templates, it's just the way that you select and enter the information is different. And a lot of that's just going to take getting in there and playing around with the reports and kind of doing experimenting, because you may have been used to just doing really specific ones on Sears Exchange, and you just have to learn how to replicate those specific options that you did on Sears Business Exchange into Sears Sales Reporting. So, and then you're asking if I choose 2,000 to the 2,000 Sears merchants, then all items will show up. So yeah, all the items that you have out there, all the items under the DUNS that you selected in Section 1 will show up on your report.
I have a question regarding that. Do the items ever fall off the report? I mean, I have some items from the Great Endorse that are still showing up on my old SBE reports. Will they still show up on the new format?
I believe they should. It just all depends on how you have it set. So I think if you have, for the time filter, if you just choose to look at like the last week, then you're only going to see whatever was with the last week. But if you choose to look further back, I don't think they're just going to, that information is not just going to disappear on you. That information should still be there.
Okay, so if I just say I want current fiscal year, then I'm only going to get items that were active in the current fiscal year.
Yes, you'll get items that were active in the current fiscal year.
And there's a couple ways to get to that too. Maybe you only want to see stuff that's selling. I did total sales units greater than or equal to 10 units, so that you wouldn't get, and you could do 1 unit, so if there's nothing selling, then you wouldn't see that.
Oh, okay. One other question. And it slipped my mind. Oh, is there any way to get a store count as opposed to the store, you know, like reporting for all the stores in that area? I mean, is there a way to say, you know, how many doors has this item?
I believe
Currently, no. We haven't enabled that as a metric.
Oh,
right? I mean, I apologize for interrupting, Stephanie.
Okay.
It is something that would be possible as a kind of a future enhancement should you know the time arise for that. So we could add that to our log of questions, right?
That would be great because sometimes you put new items in your best stores, but it looks like if you're just looking at gross sales, you don't know that item's only in 10 doors or 25 doors as opposed to 500 doors.
Yeah, that's a great call out. Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for answering that. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I apologize for interrupting. I'm sorry.
Oh, thank you.
No,
thank
you're
you.
fine.
That's what you're here for.
Yeah, you're totally fine. Bob is asking if he can see the 2015 on-hand inventory.
Week ending by week, yes. So your time filter, you would just pick the proper date range. So is that Stephanie manipulating that? I'm sorry. Remove both of those selections and select fiscal week, right? And then say in your end date where you say equals, click on the equals, say between.
There you go.
Right, and then you can pick a date range. Or you could just pick the last day of the year and just get that one. I'm not sure if you wanted just your year-ending inventory. Is that what you wanted?
It's really comparison year over year. At a point
Yeah, year over year. There are last year metrics. So if you're looking at, if you filter your report to this year, right, and you're running an inventory report, you'll see in the metric list, you'll see on-hand ending inventory, Sears store ending inventory last year. It'll say LY in the metric name.
Okay.
So you can include that as a column right on the report and compare the this year and last year side by side.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
And see, Kathy is asking if someone in the buying office builds a report, can they share it so all vendors can run the same report for consistency? If someone from SHC, I'm assuming that you're referring to, they're not able to share reports externally. Vendors have access only to what's in.
So if I could add to that, the merchants have access to this same folder. So if you were to create a report and export it and send it to them, they would have the ability to create the exact same thing. Right, but you can't share for security reasons. They can't get into your report, and you can't get into theirs, specific theirs.
Right, but your merchant could, grab a screenshot of this exact same thing and say, this is the selection I made here, this is what I made here, so that you're both running the same report.
Absolutely, and they could get into that Sears vendor reporting folder, those 5 templates, and they could build their own and they could do their own thing there. Understand the merchants have access to, like you saw with Stephanie, a whole bunch of other reports and metrics also that they use for things, but yes. So you're effectively looking at the exact same data they are.
Okay, great. Does anybody else have any other questions? Looks like there's still quite a few people on the call. So we will hang out on the call for about 5 more minutes in case you do think of any more questions. Otherwise, feel free to go ahead and sign off, and I hope that you all have a great day. Like I said, we'll be here for about 5 more minutes in case you do have more questions.
Hello?
Yes?
I have a question. So in the old system, I used to run under the Sales Insight turnover report, and I had to break it down into like the subcategories, 76 and 43, this is for footwear. So I'm curious, how do I break those down? Because I've tried running the report before, and I'm keep not getting the exact information. I've stayed with the
can you say which report that was again? Sorry, I didn't catch it. Was it the
Sales Insight turnover?
Okay, cool.
So when I go in, I run the last closed week under, what is that, on the index number 3.
So you run the vendor custom time weekly?
So I'll do that. And then so under number 5, which is the required area, the product merchandise filter. Let's see what comes up. Sears Merchant, and then 2,000. Do I need to break that down further?
Well, if you include 2,000, you're going to get every item that you own back on your report. I think are you wanting to see the different categories broken out separately on the report?
Yeah, I have to look at when I'm looking at the by your item numbers. So what sold for the week?
So you want to see it by item number.
Right.
Okay. So you could bring it over. You can drill. You can keep drilling. I believe you could also bring the whole thing over and then go to 6, and then select Sears item. Break that down.
Sears Merchant over. Okay.
Yeah. So now it's going to show all of your items, and I would get rid of the Sears Merchant. Another thing that I think might be helpful. How does Sears div, was it class div, Sears div,
category,
and category, and then what is it, line or class?
What does the category go to? When I get, let me see if I can pull up one of the worksheets when they send me an order. I'm trying to remember how it was worded on there. Hang on.
Have division, category, and item pulled over to the right. Then that's how you're going to see it broken down on your report. You're going to be able to see it for the different divisions and then by the category, and it's going to be broken all the way down to item.
So, I'm sorry, you said subcategory. That's kind of a Kmart hierarchy structure.
I was talking to myself trying to remember the...
No, I'm the vendor, which whoever asked the question said something about subcategories.
Categories.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think those are really Kmart. I think you're talking about the Kmart hierarchy, because category for Sears is much higher than division, and probably is not something that you'd want, right?
That's what I was trying to remember.
When I used to have to run the report, it was like for Division 76, line 43.
Line, okay, that's what yeah, okay.
So you said it was division, then line. So if I want to see, I'll bring that division and then category, this is Sears.
Yeah, you should remove category. I don't think she would want to see category.
Then you've got your div, your line, maybe you want your subline in between there.
What does subline break it down to? Do I just need to still select item also where it gives your actual item numbers?
Yeah, item is where it will give your actual item numbers.
Yep.
It all depends on what you want to see, right? You can do any or all of the above. So what you should do is look at one of the reports that you used to run in SBE and look at the printout and see what levels you selected there, right? Because in SBE, you would have had to tell it, I want to view this by division, or I want to view it by line, or I want to view it by item. You do the same exact thing here. It's just you can see all of these together on one or, at the same time, right?
You would know items.
So it might help you to just take your printout from or a screenshot or what a PDF or whatever from SBE and just look at the rows and say, okay, I used to select view by division, line, and item. And then you can just replicate this here. And then again, once you replicate it, you save it. You don't have to keep selecting this every time. Did that make sense? I mean, all of the things you're asking for are possible. It's all depends on what you want.
Okay.
Did that answer your question?
I think so. I'm running one right now. I'll see if it comes up, because I've tried playing with it a couple different ways, and I was either not getting enough information or obviously wasn't putting it in right for what I needed.
Yeah, and one of the things Stephanie was doing was moving things around in that prompt in different order. So the order that they display in that prompt, that drives the order of the columns on your report. So sometimes, like if you put item before division, you might get a report that looks really funky, right? You'd see one item and then a division and one item and then, so you can just move things around until you get them in the proper order that you want them to be in.
Okay.
Kathy also submitted another question. She's asking, when we save a report to run again, will it automatically run the next week's data? So if you subscribe to the report, you can set a specific date and time where it will run automatically, and then it will be located in your history after that date and time, ready and waiting for you. If you just save it, it's not going to run automatically. You'll be able to easily access it by going to the My Reports folder. But if you want it to run automatically every single week, then you actually have to subscribe to it, and then it will.
So, Kathy, are you asking from week to week, will it automatically know what the last week was, right? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's why we built those custom times, right? Because if you were to select a date and say, show me July 23rd, and you schedule that, you're always going to get data for July 23rd, right? That's your filter that you selected in the report. But if you selected the filter of last close week, and then you just schedule it to run every week, behind the scenes it automatically knows what last week was, and you'll see that, right? Did that make sense?
I think she's maybe, there we go. So select the last closed week. That would be correct, Kathy. No problem. Thank you. Does anybody else have any other questions? We will hang out on the call for a little bit longer if you do. Otherwise, I hope that you have a great day. Thank you, guys.